film, how did they kind of approach it and say that they really wanted you to be a part of this film festival? And what was it like for you guys to hear that they really wanted you guys to come out here to premiere this film?
You know, realistic, when we finished, this was the first film festival available. And I say it's going to be so different because it's all Latin music and the whole history of Latinos in the United States. So I'm going to send it to see if they like it. I don't think they would like it. And the response was right away. They said they wanted us to come and they want Gloria to do a performance. And I felt very, very happy because I felt music has no language. It doesn't matter where you come from. You always translate. And the history is the history. Having this incredible information we got in this documentary is a labor of love and a labor of information for the history of Latino music in the United States.
And also, part of, you're half Lebanese, so coming out here, is it a little bit bittersweet for you, or is it kind of interesting to kind of, coming out to the Middle East and presenting a film?
It's a matter of pride. I mean, I wish, like I said, my dad will be alive to be, because he always talked to me and my grandmother about, my Lebanese background. Living in Cuba, born in Cuba, he always tell me, and the other day I was flying so close to Lebanon, I said, oh my God, my dad and my grandmother should be so proud. And especially, being the first time we want to introduce this documentary here and then in Dubai, it definitely brings a lot of emotions, between Latinos for the first time, my heritage, and, and being here, it's going to be a night that I will never forget.
Working on this project, was it a really emotional experience for you? I mean, like, just to cull together, you're basically creating like a time capsule of the music and the heritage and all that kind of stuff. At any point, was it just a really difficult? I mean, how do you kind of overcome that kind of?
It was emotional in a beautiful way. For me, the toughest thing was not to have Celia Cruz physically on this album. Although whenever I was going to approach the beginning of singing a song, I would think of Celia and I would think, Celia, I want to do you proud, because this is the first album of Cuban music that I've ever recorded without her here. And obviously capturing the amazing interviews and listening to the stories that, even though we've known these guys for a long, long time, really listening to some of the history was very emotional. And I know that for me, thinking of what this is going to represent to my son and my daughter, because they are very much music aficionados. They're percussionists, both of them. My daughter's an amazing drummer. And she was every step of the way involved in this album, from the beginnings of the demos to where we're recording it and giving us feedback. And that, to me, what made it very emotional, because to know that I have this daughter that was born in the United States, but if you ask her, she'll say she's Cuban American, and that this music, even though she's involved in her world of music, still talks to her, and that still, excites her. It was a beautiful thing, because it's like full circle. And for me, many times, I teared up many times during this album, watching the performances of the other amazing artists that are on this album, and listening to what they went through to keep the music alive was very emotional for me.
What I can tell you, it was very emotional when the first time we did a mini screen in Miami for the press, the Miami press. It was an incredible feeling, because at the end of the documentary, everybody gave us a standing ovation, but everybody was crying. Represent, you spent 2 years filming information, and how difficult was it to keep the tradition of Latinos and the music and everything. And at the end, when they give a standing ovation, everybody was crying. It was a mixed feeling of pride, at the same time very emotional, because they know what Carlos Santana, what happened to him, and Feliciano, and us, and and so the people that that we fight for keeping that rhythm of the music.
Well, a lot of the music is actually stuff that may not have been able to have been captured on record. I mean, how do you actually choose the sounds that you ended up getting, and was it because of the people that you brought onto the project, because they had experience to do
I think because we wrote every single song in the album, we were thinking of the influence that Carlos Santana would bring to the song, or Feliciano would bring to the song. For example, I think this is the first time we get Jose Feliciano, Carlos Santana, and Sheila E. in one song with Gloria. I don't think this will even happen again in the history. It will be very difficult to get all these legends to be performing one song. So, we was influenced by a lot of the music that we wrote in this album was simply a lot of, because Cachao or Johnny Pacheco that you saw today here, these people make most of the history of Latin music, and they're still alive.
Yes, and we purposely brought them on board before the songs were finished being written, because we wanted their style to influence the direction of the song. It wasn't just, here, play on this. We started doing it when it was a mere demo. For example, the first single that we put out, No Llores, only the chorus had been sung, and Feliciano came in to do guitar. And as he was doing guitar, he started ad-libbing these things, as Feliciano does. And we had written a different melody for that song, and I said to him, forget what we had done we're throwing that out. And we really he sang it in a Guajira style, which hadn't occurred to us. And that's what we wanted with this record, for it to be a real collaboration and for their input to make a difference in the finality of the songs.
What was the most surprising track that you guys ended up, like you maybe wrote it one way, but it turned out to be one that's completely a different version?
I think the first single, No Llore, is a Guajira Boogaloo rhythm, but with a lot of hip hop in the bottom. And having two guitars, one of the two best guitars in the world. One is Carlos Santana, Jose Feliciano, and Chile. It was surprising to see the combination of rock and Latino and Cuban music. It was an incredible experience.
And for me, the most surprising was Morenita, because the record had been done. We pretty much had chosen the songs that were going to be, and we recorded 18 of the almost 30-some songs that we had written. And Emilio kept saying, we have to put this song on the record, because to me it was the most modern. And I thought, we have enough. And he says, I really want to put this song on because it's really coming full circle to today's sound. It's a very old sample of a very, very old spiritual Afro-Cuban song, which is the riff that you hear throughout being sung. Yet the producer, Drop, that works with Pitbull, brought this amazing, sound from today and the hip-hop kick and many really different influences. And my daughter kept saying, Mommy, you have to record that song. Mommy, you have to record that song. And when I did it, it ended up being one of my favorites on the record. So that was very surprising to me.
That's a good question. People outside of Cuba have been able to hear this album. Do you know if people back home have been able to hear it, and what's your response?
I know for a fact they have, because they've requested from their family members to send them this album. I'm sure it's going to grow even more so now, because the record just came out a couple months ago, and it takes time sometimes. But everybody that has family in Cuba has told me that they have specifically asked them to please send them this album. And I hope to God that they really listen, because there's a lot of messages to them specifically, to the Cubans within Cuba, very conciliatory, very brother-to-brother kind of messages. And the fact that the music is still alive in us, and that our culture is still alive after so many years outside of our homeland, that's the main thing, that we're Cuban. No matter, we may have divergent lives, different points of view, different ways of thinking, but Cuba is still alive in our heart and soul, and that's the message from us.